Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad, your best place for weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name is Austin.
And my name is Patrick.
And guys, welcome to our show. Well, guys, we're back again this week, and Pat, it was kind of an interesting weekend. We had a lot of positives. We also had some negatives in there, but most importantly, it's good to be back together this week for this episode.
Yeah, Austin, it's certainly nice to be back. I appreciate you covering for me there. And if you haven't, viewers, go check out that latest episode. It's fantastic. Great content as always, Austin. But yeah, we've had a lot of ups and downs and storylines to go through from this past weekend for our Yas.
Yeah, and it was a somewhat different atmosphere, I felt personally this weekend. We had some players missing due to injury and illness, which made things, a little less, it took some of the air out of the weekend, in my opinion. But, we got a lot to cover today, Pat.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Austin. But, certainly, for one of our players, it was a sour end to a pretty solid start, over in England.
And we also had another goal from the new Man of the Hour.
And a friendly debut for a new So all that and more in this week's episode. All right, everybody. So to start off this week's episode, we're going to talk about that player who, had a pretty solid start and ended on a sour note at the half there, Antonee Robinson. So he did end up starting the match and playing 44 minutes. We did see red in a 1-0 loss to Chelsea. So we'll kind of dive into that here for you guys. He started off the game very well, Austin. Before the red and was really involved in the attack, getting forward. You've seen that with Fulham there, and hence him being the starter and really, taking control of that position in the lineup. There was a few nervy moments he had, but for the most part, kept everything together. Chelsea has been struggling for results, but yeah, Fulham looked like, they could hold him to a draw or maybe even spring on some counters. But unfortunately there, right towards the end of the half, Antonee came flying in on a pretty late challenge on Azpilicueta there. And unfortunately, Azpilicueta's okay. It could have been much worse, I should say. So Antonee did see a straight red, a really unfortunate moment there. But again, I think it's certainly a player that can bounce back and recover. He mentioned that on social media. But yeah, it didn't look good in real time there.
Yeah, and I think we heard it's going to be a 3-match ban too, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, right. Definitely, rub some more salt in the wound there. But like you said, Pat, he did come out in this game, looked really dangerous getting forward and putting in crosses into the box, and was honestly one of the biggest difference makers in that first half for Fulham. So yeah, it kind of sucked to see, that red card, but it was really positive up until then. And the commentators were raving about his impact as well. So just hope, he can get through these 3 games and come back and, win that starting job right back.
Right. And I think you're right there too, because, typically I think it's in that 2 to 3 game range, but because of it being a little more, I don't know if aggressive.
Cynical?
Yeah, a little physical there. I think, yeah, you're right there at the 3. And like you said, the rankings, I think just on various accounts I've seen on social media in terms of the, wing back stats and defenders there, he's in the top 5 in a lot of the different categories. So he has been playing very well, Austin, and I have no doubt in my mind Antonee will come back stronger from this and be back in that lineup. And hopefully with Fulham 18th there in the relegation zone, they can kind of climb up and stay safe here.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because, Antonee Robinson wasn't the only player who took part in this game. We also had Christian Pulisic, and unfortunately, Pat, it was a quiet day for him as well.
Yeah,
I guess Antonee wasn't so quiet, but Christian was.
Yeah, certainly was. Good point, Austin. And yeah, I mean, again, nice to see Chelsea getting the win. But Christian had some good movements and moments early on in the game, but just trouble making an impact in that final third. And again, I know he's getting some flack there now. With a string of games there. I think the last 6 games in the Premier League where there's not really been an impact on the stat line there in terms of goals and assists, and some calls there, which is understandable for the player of his caliber. But he did also, I think, miss a chance 2 yards out there in the second half. It was, I know Giroud was there kind of in the way, but it looked like he could have finished. But again, don't want to harp too negatively there, because I know Christian will be able to pull it off and recover here in future games to come. But he did, again, find some good spots, turning and taking on some players. But yeah, I think he's just got to, break that drought, Austin, and put one in the back of the net to get that confidence back, because Chelsea as a team, they're trying everything to regain form. And I know him and Werner have been called out, recently in times here.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too, because Christian's had the highest ranking of any Chelsea player the last few games. And I know that doesn't mean much when you're losing games, but at the end of the day, he's the player that's really been the most dangerous for them up until maybe these last 2 games. You could make an argument that that wasn't really the case. But yeah, it's a weird time for Chelsea. We thought coming in with all these new signings coming into the season, we thought it would take some time for them to gel. And it looks like now they're in that period where they started off really hot together and did really well, but now it's a learning process, and they're just working some things out. And Frank Lampard's got some tough decisions to make, I think, coming up here. Hopefully Pulisic stays cold.
Yeah, I hope so too, Austin. I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts too on it, and with Hudson-Odoi and the different formations they could do with Ziyech and all the other players they have at their disposal, where Frank needs to be tinkering, needs to get some results. But again, I think we know it. Has strong believers and fans here, that Christian can overcome any kind of problem, or climb to the top of the mountain there and overcome these challenges and setbacks because of the player that we've seen. It's in the data there in the past, and I know he'll be able to overcome this. Yeah,
I think so too. I think it's just, again, this learning process with Chelsea. It's a lot of new players. It's a lot of different play styles. I don't think Kai Havertz really has a defined role in this team the way Frank Lampard's playing. And kind of the same with Werner too. Werner's more of a left winger, in my opinion, or like a left-sided striker in a 2-striker system, and that's not really what Chelsea play. So, we'll see again what that brings for Christian, but I think Christian's proved his worth so far for Chelsea, and I'm not really concerned about him losing playing time. I just think he's too important for them at the moment. So I think with that, Pat, we'll move over to Germany and talk about, again, the man of the hour, really, and that would be Matthew Hoppe. So Matt, again, started for Schalke this weekend after a big hat trick, last weekend, and got another goal for Schalke. So Schalke ended up losing the game 3-1, but again, Hoppe was the lone man on the score sheet for them in this game, and the goal really came off a nice alert play from him and Benjamin Stambouli, who actually chipped a ball that was, I guess, kind of misplayed over into, I guess, the no man's land between the goalkeeper and defenders. Frankfurt players didn't really know whether or not to go for the ball because it was kind of in between both. And Hoppe just ran onto it and took a shot right through the goalkeeper's legs into the net. So really alert goal, and again, shows that scrappiness that we're starting to see from him. And that's kind of the stamp on his game. He's a player that likes to do a lot of the dirty work, tracking back, defending, going up for headers, sticking a foot in on tackles, and also just trying to get off those one-touch passes and just get out of trouble, with some nice balls. And after that goal, the game for Schalke, not just him, but the whole game for Schalke kind of imploded a little bit. You saw them kind of get off the same page as all the other players. They really weren't in sync after this goal, and it looked like the Schalke of old. We really saw a new, rejuvenated Schalke last week, and that's not what it looked like after that goal in this game. So unfortunately, Hoppe, I don't think, had another chance to score in this game after that goal. And again, just plays started to get a little bit more disjointed. And I think, in this game, just as, a minor note, I don't think it's anything big to take away, but it does show kind of the breakdown of this game. But, Hoppe lost 10 out of 13 duels, and duels are basically 50-50 balls. So, it just wasn't Schalke's day. We thought last week it was kind of the the turn of the page. But Pat, what have you been impressed with so far from Matt and his play this season?
Yeah, I think just amongst all the chaos, Austin, and where Schalke is at this point, where Matt was able to come in, from the rising up from the ranks essentially to the first team, and finding himself in this disjointed, chaotic lineup, and like you mentioned, just his mentality, his work ethic, and being scrappy, and again producing with that amazing hat trick, and then even scoring a goal here where some of the other stats in the 50-50s didn't go his way, just finding a way to produce on the field. And I think that's how it's going to have to be, and how he's going to have to adapt and play for the remainder of the time, where it's going to be disjointed, chaotic. He's going to have to do a lot of that dirty work, and at least you can kind of see the effort there and the intelligence he has to, when they are able to capitalize or counter on chances, that he's in the right spots there, and he's giving it his all in terms of effort and intelligence of when to have that burst of energy to get forward there and go create that chance. So I think he's doing those things really well. And again, I don't want to predict anything. I know people have been talking. It'd be great to see even if they could survive, but if not, to see him really thrive in the two Bundesliga and see how he produces there, and again maybe go to a team, or if they can get back up to the Bundesliga, because I certainly think he could be a really good staple for the striking team here, with the forwards here with Schalke.
Yeah, and it's interesting. He's really looked the part. I really like his movement off the ball. I think he's made good runs into the box. Just that midfield has had a lot of troubles finding him. Yeah. And Amin Harit last week was fantastic. He found him perfectly, but you didn't see that in this game. I also thought, and a really underrated, last week I talked about him winning headers off of goal kicks, which in this game really wasn't the case. So, I guess we'll see what happens next week. But in the past few games, another thing I liked from him, and in this game I thought you saw it multiple times, was just that heads-up awareness of when to get rid of the ball. Obviously, he's still a young player, so it'll happen from time to time where he holds onto the ball too long. But most of the times, he's able to pick out a pass at the last moment, and I think it's a calculated risk holding onto the ball so long in some of these situations he finds himself in. So. I really like that, and I just like the confidence he's playing with, Pat. You talked about his hustle, and that's like I talked about earlier too. That's the stamp he's putting on all his games here is his tenacity and his hustle on the field, and that's just always something good to bring to a game and bring to a team. So I think if you see more of that, you'll see him continue to get more minutes and really find himself some more. And yeah, like you said, if it doesn't work out, maybe the two Bundesliga next year, but let's hope it's the Bundesliga.
Yeah, that's all you can really hope for, Austin. And again, don't want to harp too much on the same points, but piggybacking, I think again, just how important it is with the team in this scenario and the chaotic environment there, that he's able to again just have that grit and determination. When some players maybe aren't mentally in the right stage or not giving all effort, that they're seeing this young guy kind of come out and produce and give it his all. And I think that's just a really important trait to have moving forward. And I think that'd be really useful for the national team here.
Yeah, very true. And I do want to add one more point, Pat, before we move on. So it was announced, I believe today, we're filming on Monday here, that Schalke just signed Klaas-Jan Huntelaar from Ajax on a free transfer. So if you don't know who that is, he's a striker that used to play at Real Madrid, a host of other teams, including Schalke in the past. And he's coming back now on a free transfer. I believe he's 34 or 35. So he's towards the end of his career. It seems like this will kind of be the last half of, this half season will be the last of his career. So it'll be interesting to see if Hoppe can retain his starting spot. And if, Huntelaar walks right into the team and starts from day one. But he's a player that's kind of been injured a lot in the past, so I don't know what impact he's going to make, to be honest. And it's also been floated out there that they may start both of them in a two-striker system and move more towards that in the future. So just a little note there, Pat, for the viewers to keep an eye on this week, and hopefully it helps save Schalke, because we want to keep seeing our players play in the top leagues, and Matt's another player that's doing it right now. So with that, I'm gonna throw it back to you, Pat. Where are we going next?
That's right. We're going over to Italy there, Austin, with our boy here, Weston McKennie. It's nice to see him, back from injury there and recovering well. And just want to highlight the game over Inter Milan this past weekend. So really tough, unfortunate. It was a crucial game there that Juventus ended up, losing 2-0. But yeah, he played just over 30 minutes. Completed, run some stats here: 17 and 19 passes, made 2 key passes, as well as winning a few duels, and had a shot on target. So when he came on, they were already down 2-0. And again, it's from that slight knock, still getting fitness back and recovering, and I know they have another key game coming up here during the week. So again, just kind of shows the importance and success that McKennie has to the midfield group here with Juventus and the team. He's done very, very well, since coming over, from Schalke, and the last 2 months especially, where Juventus has gone, and his impact in the attacking side of things with some goals and impact there, and key passes and getting in dangerous positions, as well as just defending and winning the ball. So that box-to-box style and having that personality at a huge club, I think is so important and crucial. So hopefully that Weston is fully healed here, and we'll continue to see him get back in the starting lineup.
Yeah, and it's interesting to say too. Juventus have that Super Cup final this week coming up against Napoli, and it sounds like Weston's going to be one change that Pirlo makes this week to that starting roster for the game. So if he could win a trophy this year, even if it's not Serie A, which right now, honestly, Pat, Serie A looks like it's on the brink for Juventus at the moment with that loss to Inter. I don't know. That's a pretty big loss.
Yeah, that's tough, Austin, because Milan, Inter, there's a lot of competition, and this is, these teams are out guns a-blazing for Juventus, who's won it how many times now in a row, where, it seems like a pretty hard climb to get back. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be kind of interesting how the season progresses, and like you said, to see McKennie at least get a trophy there. You see how the Champions League goes, all really important, for him. And again, just want to express how vital he is, and what we'll kind of see, because from that midfield group, because you've seen a lot of changes there, and some complaints recently with I think it's the Rabiot and Bentancur, and that kind of, maybe it's chemistry not gelling there, but inserting McKennie and even Arthur back in the lineup there, and seeing how they kind of intertwine and I guess complement each other well. So there's a lot of options there. I think they just need a little bit more tinkering. Maybe there could be some there's some rumors on some transfer to help bolster up their midfielder there, midfield side there, Austin. But want to kind of get your thoughts on McKennie and just the overall group that they have there at Juventus.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. He's played on the right a lot of times now recently, so it's weird to see that role for him. But he's honestly done such a good job this year, just getting forward and really being a glue guy, I would call it, for Juventus, helping out wherever he's needed. So, yeah, it's weird to me. I just am not confident in the midfielders that Juventus have for them to even win Serie A this year. I just think, Bentancur is a pretty good player, but he's kind of been played out of position. I think of him more as like a creative midfielder, and it just feels like he hasn't been able to do what he's good at this year for Juventus. Similar, I guess, with Artur, although I'm just not a big Artur fan to begin with, Pat. I just don't think he's a great player. So I guess we'll find out in the long run. And then you have Rabiot, who apparently is kind of tough to get along with off the field. So, yeah, it's just been a weird year. I don't think Juventus have the players to really compete for Champions League, but again, just kind of make a run in Serie A. And, I think Weston's really taken advantage of his opportunity, seen the need, because I think this team really lacks creative spark. And I think instead of being, again, he came in as the defensive destroyer type player, at least in Juventus's mind, but has really stepped up and become one of the players that's gotten forward and created things for Juve.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, Austin, and I know we've talked about it before, so I'll touch on it quickly. But like you said, just seeing where they need areas of improvement or weakness, and McKennie is capitalizing there, and just the motor he has. I know he unfortunately wasn't able to start this game, but just the 30 minutes, even coming as a substitute, where he just can get up and down the field and just be anywhere and run miles and miles and still have the not fatigued and still technical in those 1v1 situations, or playing the right pass, or even finishing there and getting in crosses where some players would be gassed at the end of that. So it's just kind of interesting to see how Juventus will develop over time and where they'll kind of end up, because they are such a top team, Austin, and the caliber and the talent they have, and with Ronaldo here, these are kind of his last years of being I wouldn't even say in the prime anymore, but just being at a solid level, where Juventus is not going to sit back and say, hey, let's kind of keep that same midfield group and not change things up, and we didn't win Serie A, let's just kind of see how it goes next year. There's going to be something changing, and I think Weston has, like you said, been that glue guy, and he'll be in the future plans there for a long time coming here.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that they're going to pull the trigger, it sounds like, on that transfer deal, and I think he's going to be a player, whatever position he ends up playing for them primarily. I think he's going to be a player that they keep around for a few more years, and hopefully, again, they can get back to the top. Maybe they'll do it this year, but we'll have to wait and see. And I think, Pat, will move on to our final player for today, and that would be Brenden Aaronson over at Red Bull Salzburg now. So no longer of the Philadelphia Union, has officially transferred over to Europe, and actually made his friendly debut for Salzburg this weekend, playing with their first team, or even starting the match with the first team, and scoring a goal and registering an assist. So again, Pat, a strong performance right out of the gates from Brenden, a player who really is a player that they're going to give a lot of priority to, I would say. I think he's honestly going to get minutes right away for Salzburg, and big transfer from MLS too, making his name, making a name for himself abroad, and helping MLS out as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Again, you're seeing the tremendous impact that not only the Union, but that the MLS is having in respect. Other clubs and Europe are taking notice in the quality there. So, I think Brendanson, in terms of his technical ability and being aggressive and just really great on the ball in terms of receiving and turning and kind of that silky smooth style and threading the pass, I think will translate very well to the Austrian Bundesliga there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty seamless transition myself. You saw Dominik Szoboszlai go to Leipzig this window, so they are looking for some creative zest in midfield and someone that can really roll in and take over that cam or that left midfield position. And Salzburg play with two different formations. Again, one with a cam and one without, in kind of a weird, I guess, 4-4-2. So it'll be really cool to see if he can really replace Dominik in that starting lineup, because Szoboszlai was a fantastic player, Pat, a really complete player, and someone that Salzburg really relied on, at least in the first part of the season, to help them get to where they are in the table right now, and they're also in the Europa League too. So it'll be cool to see Aaronson get his feet wet there as well. But looking at what they've done too, on the media side, Pat, I've had my eye to their YouTube channel this past week or so, and they've really put out a lot of interviews with him, some like third-person videos of him walking around the town, meeting the staff, some training videos too. So it's just really cool, in my opinion, to see how they're treating Brenden. This is a club that's bought players like Erling Haaland to the club. There's so many others. I can't think off the top of my head now. I'm freezing up, but this is a club that does a really good job of bringing players in and then selling them off. And it looks like they've got full trust in Brenden to be one of those players.
Yeah, and that's just how vital and important that is in terms of a national team perspective to, have the confidence and trust that Brenden will develop in that way. And yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of curious and really excited to see him, aside from the friendlies here, get into the actual season and make an impact and see how he kind of does, coming in right away at a, obviously, finishing out the season there with the Union and coming in here. I'm just kind of curious, Austin, if he'll be, full-fledged starter right away immediately, or take a few games to get in and substitute and then kind of start and see where his career goes. I think he has a lot of, again, potential in Europe and different kind of, I guess areas in the midfield where he could play, or where he'll kind of develop a more attacking role, or is he kind of coming in from the left and tucking in? Be really intrigued to kind of see where his career goes.
Yeah, I think he's going to get playing time right away, and I just think he's going to be such a big prospect for them. Obviously, he's not on the same level as some of these guys. Like, I don't think he's going to reach Szoboszlai level or even Haaland level, just because Haaland's on another planet, honestly.
Right.
But I really think he's going to be the same type of player that you look at, even like a Hwang Hee-chan. Maybe that's not a great comparison, but a player who's now at Leipzig and, has a good rep. You could even see some players like, Sadio Mane, honestly, before he went to Liverpool, he went to Southampton from Salzburg. And Naby Keita the same way, went to Leipzig. So I think he's going to be one of those type of players where he's gonna do well for a season or two, and then you're gonna see him get sold to a team in the top 5 league somewhere. So just really exciting, cool time in American soccer. Right now, where we got players at some of these really good developing teams. You see Mark McKenzie going to Genk as well, a team that's produced a lot of different players like Kevin De Bruyne, Kalidou Koulibaly.
Right.
And it's just really cool to see them in those environments.
And don't want to quickly harp, Austin, but just how great of a point you just made, quickly, where it was, maybe you're seeing some Americans in different leagues in Europe, but not at the same, level as the notoriety or, just these teams like you just mentioned here with, McKenzie and Genk and Salzburg here, where, they are truly known and notorious for developing top level players where, it's not some of those random teams, the mid-bottom level of so-and-so league in Europe. So I think that's just an interesting point that you made there.
Yeah, this isn't Austria Vine or NAC Breda. No offense, Eric Palmer.
Right.
But, it's really cool. And what a better time, than now, Pat, to be an American soccer fan. So I think with that, we're going to head over now to Quick Kicks.
All right, everybody. Good to be back doing this part with you guys. It's my favorite part of the show. I hope it's yours. And I think it's Austin's too at this point. But it's none other than Quick Kicks.
So you could test Dwayne Miller. It's Altidore over the wall. And that one is in! Josie Altidore from a long way out. The opening goal for the United States.
So to start off Quick Kicks today, we have Josh Sargent, who started and played 90 minutes for Werder Bremen in their 2-0 win.
And we have Serginho Dest, Austin. Started, but replaced at half there. And Barcelona's tough, unfortunate 3-2 loss to Athletic Bilbao for the Supercopa. And there's slight discomfort there. Hope he's okay, but he did come off at half there.
Yeah, it was tough to see. It sounds like definitely an injury of some sort. So we'll have to wait and see kind of what the diagnosis is. And staying in Spain, we have Yunus Musa, who started and played 77 minutes for Valencia in their 2-0 win in the Copa del Rey. So, good to see Yunus there getting more time.
It's awesome. I can't ask for more there. And it looks like you followed the USMNT account, so a little excited about that too. But heading over to France here with our boy Timo Weah, for Lille there. Came on in the last 9 minutes as a substitute in a 2-0 win against Reims.
And going over to Portugal, we have Reggie Cannon, who unfortunately had a tough week, but started and played 61 minutes in Boa Vista's 3-1 loss. So, he'll shake it off.
Yeah, he'll shake it off, Austin. And heading over with Jordan Sabachu there, started the match and played the full 90 of the young boys in the 3-2 win and actually scored a goal. So nice to see Jordan get on the score sheet.
That's true. And going to Germany, we have Julian Green. So Julian started and played 82 minutes for Greuther Fürth, and that was in their 1-1 draw with Paderborn.
Awesome. And heading over to Italy, our boy, Andrea Novakovic there, against Vicenza there. Started the match and played the full 90 in a 0-0 draw.
And going over to Germany, again, we have Chris Richards, who started and played 90 minutes in Bayern 2's big 4-0 win. So good to see Chris getting game time.
That's what we want to see there with Chris. And again, switching to France with our boy Nico Gioacchini, subbed on in the 60th minute for Caen in their 1-0 loss.
And going to England, we have Cameron Carter-Vickers, who's finally back from injury, and he started and played 90 minutes in Bournemouth's 1-0 loss.
And Indiana Vasilev played the last 4 minutes. They came on as a substitute for Burton Albion as they lost 1-0 at home to Ipswich Town.
And going over to England as well, we have Alex Mighton, an English-American dual nat, and he started and played 81 minutes, also had an assist, his very first of his career, I believe, and that was in Nottingham Forest's 3-1 win over Millwall. So definitely keep your eye on Alex. He's one on the come-up.
I like it, Austin. And Luca De La Torre there came into the game in the second half for Hercules as they lost 2-0 in the Eredivisie, but nice to see Luca get some minutes.
Yeah, and we have a player here back in Germany that we haven't talked about for a little while just because of some of the coronavirus, hiatus and things like that with some of the lower leagues, but that's Quincy Butler. And Quincy started and played 90 minutes for Hoffenheim 2 in their 2-2 draw this weekend. So good to see him back on the pitch.
Yeah, certainly, Austin. And, last but not least, I wanted to, cover here Matt Olasunde for Rotherham. And, again, he started the match and played the full 90. So great to see him picking up minutes in a 1-0 win here.
And that's all this week, guys, for our episode. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
And don't forget to check out our social media, Twitter, Instagram accounts, putting out that great content for you guys because there's a lot happening, with the new Yas and everything just going on.
That's very true. And our show is also available in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. So make sure you subscribe to us there and leave us a review. It helps us out.
Yeah, Austin. And it looks like we're kind of in the swing of things in 2021. With Aaronson we were talking about, some of the other players on the come up and Hoppe, producing in a striker position. And yeah, there's a lot to be, looking forward to. I know obviously you mentioned some injuries there and some, kind of sucked the wind out of, the weekend. But again, there's plenty of Yas to talk about.
Yeah, which is a good thing. We need all that content, Pat, that we can get to talk about. And again, like we said earlier, what a time to be alive right now. As an American soccer fan, there's so many promising players coming up. And I think, Pat, that leads us to our last big point, and that is one day our soccer team will win the World Cup.